Good evening. As the day comes to an end, I want to share with you a story. A story that hopefully will calm you down in preparation for bedtime. In preparation for you as you say goodbye to June 19th, 2019. Because as it stands, as it is, there will never be another June 19th, 2019. And so I want to tell you a story about a fish who knew how to swim but could never get going. So a long time ago, there was this little fish. He was very small compared to everyone in the group. He was not the most colorful. In fact, they used to make fun of him because he was by far the darkest. But there was something about this little fish that made him special. It was the way his fins were shaped. They had a different curve and they followed his body differently from the rest of the fish. And so one day, as the tides were coming in and the water was moving in and storms were raging coming through, his village, his community decided that they were going to move. They were going to migrate to a different part of the ocean. And so when it came time to go, the little fish could not get moving. And nobody understood why he couldn't move, considering he was a fish and he could swim. And after all, it was supposed to come naturally to him. But what they didn't know was that the little fish could tell. He could tell just by the feel of the water whether they really needed to move or if they just needed to go even lower below or a little bit higher above. And so he told his elders in the group, he said, "No, I'm not ready to swim. I'm not ready to leave my home. I'm not ready to go anywhere because I haven't stood my ground yet." Everybody around him was shocked. What does he mean he hasn't stood his ground yet? They thought. And so they decided to vote. Those who wanted to go could go, and those who wanted to stay would stay. Because surely this little fish was special, but they just didn't know how special he was. And so one group left and the other group stayed and decided to go even lower with the little fish. On their way to the bottom of the ocean, the little fish stopped and he said, "I think we can stay right here. We don't need to go any lower." Everyone within the group was surprised. "But you said we needed to go all the way low." And the little fish said, "No, I said we only needed to go lower. I didn't describe how low we could go or how low we needed to go." And so as some people started grumbling, some others started throwing insults at the little fish. "Oh, we should never have listened to you. We should have just gone with the rest of the group because you never know what you're doing. You never know where you're going. And half the time you don't make sense." This threw the little fish off. And he started to wonder, so did they follow me because they liked me? Or did they follow me because they liked what I represented. And if they followed me because of what I represented, what is it that I represent? And so at that point, the little fish decided to excuse himself. He said, you know what? I know I can't swim faster than everybody in this group. But what I can do is I can think smarter. And right now, I need to think smarter about where I am going after this. And so the little fish took some time to himself. And then he realized what made him different from the entire group was simply his way of thinking. He had never been one to go with groupthink. He had never been one to go with the status quo. He had never been one to just go with what everybody decides to do. What made him different was the way he took his time processing, the way he took his time analyzing, the way he took his time consulting even with the environment to figure out where he truly belonged. And so as he was thinking to himself, he realized, no, they don't value me. They don't see me. They came with me because they were afraid of the unknown. And so when I said we go low, they were afraid of what they would run into if they left with the other group. So it was safer for them to stay than it was to go. And so in that moment, he realized something. If he was ever to swim as far away as possible, just to discover new things, to learn about the ocean, he too had to learn to trust the unknown. He too had to learn to trust the process. Even if he couldn't swim as fast as everybody in the group, he could take his time, give himself the time and the space and the speed needed to go wherever it is the oceans took him. Because ultimately, everybody made it eventually wherever it is they were destined to be. So that's my story for you this evening. We are not in a race with anybody. We are not rushing to the graveyard. In fact, we shouldn't be rushing to the graveyard. We should be taking our time to get there. Taking our time to get home to our Creator, knowing that we are all unique with gifts and talents, divine gifts, divine talents of service, talents that are supposed to guide us into living much more fulfilled lives. But in order for us to flourish, in order for us to move with intention, in peace and surrender, we have to know within ourselves that we are on our own journey. And so we trust the process and we take our time. Sometimes we go fast, sometimes we go slow. But ultimately, it is our own individual journeys. And we move however the universe guides us to. So I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I hope you take time to think about this day, today, what you did today, how you sent it off. Because yes, we are now sending the day off. What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? I am thankful for my joy. I'm thankful for my resilience. I'm thankful for my smile and my spirit, but above all, for life and life force. Have a good evening.